You won't believe what happened when a self-entitled HOA Karen decided to throw a full-blown wedding on my private farm without even asking me. By the end, her white dress wasn't the only thing that got ruined. Before we get started, tell me which country you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more insane HOA and Karen revenge stories. The story takes place in a quiet countryside town, the kind where most people keep to themselves and respect their neighbor's land. I had inherited my family farm years ago and spent most of my days tending to the fields, taking care of my livestock, and enjoying the peace that came with living far from the noise of the city. That peace, however, didn't last long once the nearby Homeowners Association began expanding their reach toward the rural edge of town. The HOA was run by a woman everyone knew as Karen. She wasn't officially part of my community, but she acted like she owned the entire area. Her perfectly manicured neighborhood bordered the old dirt road that led to my farm, and she seemed to think that gave her some kind of authority over my property. At first, it started small. She'd leave notes on my fence about how my farm smells were disturbing her guests. She'd lecture me at the local market about how my barns looked unwelcoming. I ignored it. After all, people like her thrived on control and attention. But I didn't expect her arrogance to cross into outright trespassing. One Saturday morning, I woke up to strange noises, music, laughter, and the sound of clinking glass. When I stepped outside, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My open pasture, the one right behind my barn, had been transformed overnight into a full wedding venue. White chairs lined up in neat rows, a floral archway stood at the center, and dozens of guests were wandering around with champagne flutes in their hands. At first, I thought maybe someone had taken a wrong turn. But then I saw her, Karen, in a bright floral dress, directing people like she owned the place. She'd set up tents, hired caterers, and even brought in a DJ who had plugged into one of my outdoor outlets without asking. The guests looked elegant, but none of them looked like they belonged anywhere near a working farm. Karen had apparently told everyone she had arranged with the local farmer to use his land for her friend's wedding. That local farmer was me, and I had never heard a word about it. The sheer audacity left me speechless. She'd parked cars all along my property line, blocked my tractor's access road, and trampled half an acre of my hayfield in the process. I stood there for a moment, watching as people laughed and danced like it was their private resort. That's when the anger hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was theft. She'd taken my land and used it for her own profit and popularity. I knew she needed to be taught a lesson she'd never forget. But I wasn't going to confront her right away. I had a better plan. I went back inside, made a few calls, and waited for the sun to start setting. My farm had something every farmer knows well, a mountain of manure from the cattle stalls. And since she wanted to use my farm as her venue, it was only fair I added a bit of farm authenticity to her special day. Once the guests sat down for the dinner and speeches, I got to work. I started my old spreader tractor, filled it with a fresh load of cow manure, and drove it around the perimeter of the field. Slowly, carefully, I maneuvered closer, just upwind from the entire wedding setup. Then, with one satisfying pull of the lever, the spreader began spraying. Within seconds, the sweet, unforgettable aroma of cow manure filled the air. The reaction was immediate. Guests started gagging, clutching their noses, and rushing toward their cars. The bride screamed as brown mist drifted over the white decorations, and the groom tried to cover the food tables with tablecloths. Karen herself was running in circles, yelling at the staff while her perfect hair got splattered. By the time I finished my second pass, the entire venue was unrecognizable. The pristine chairs were coated, the flowers drooped under the weight of the smell, and the guests were gone, all except Karen, who stood there fuming, demanding to know what had happened. I didn't need to say a word. My property, my rules. Word of the MANURE wedding disaster spread fast around town. Pictures hit local Facebook groups, and the comment section was filled with laughter and disbelief. Apparently, Karen had been charging her friend to use the venue, claiming she had connections with local landowners. That lie didn't age well once people learned the truth. Within a week, the local authorities fined her for trespassing an illegal event organization. The HOA board, embarrassed by her stunt, voted to remove her as president. She tried to spin it as an honest mistake, but no one bought it. The bride even filed a complaint against her for ruining the wedding. As for me, I spent the next few days fixing up the damaged field and patching fences. But I can't lie, every time I drove past that spot, I couldn't help but smile. Justice doesn't always come in a courtroom. Sometimes it rides in on a tractor carrying cow manure. Before you go, tell me in the comments which country you're watching from. And if you enjoyed the story of sweet, smelly karma, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insane HOA and Karen revenge stories every week. Because sometimes the best kind of justice is natural.